Hello everybody, Sniping is Fun speaking here, and welcome back to my Super Smash Bros. 4 videos. I bring to you yet another topic, and yet another topic that's about another character that tends to get requested quite a bit from the Super Smash Bros. Community. And another character that, just like what I said about Mewtwo, people tend to want this character back because just like Mewtwo, this character was also cut from Melee. And I know you guys already know who this character is. You clicked on the video, it's in the title, there's a picture showing right now, yada yada yada. I'm talking about Roy from the Fire Emblem series. And just like Mewtwo, this is another character that tends to get requested a lot by people in the community. And as a Roy fan myself in Melee, he was practically one of my favorite characters in that game. I'm going to give my opinions here now on some pros and cons on why I think Roy makes sense to come back in the game, or at least why he did make sense. Like, at this point, it's very, very unlikely people that he's coming in. We already have 4 Fire Emblem characters. I highly doubt we're going to get a 5th. I'm basically here talking about specifically the possibility of if he made sense before all these announcements with Lucina and Robin and whatnot, or Ike Stain or whatever, and or was it too off in left field? Did it not make sense? Were there no reasons for it? Now, I'm going to be talking about some pros and some cons in this situation, but unlike the Mewtwo situation, it's not even here. There's one side that clearly has more reasons than the other, and I'll let you find that out in the video while I'm talking, because if I say now which side's more, it would obviously give away my thoughts on Roy's inclusion more so than Mewtwo's inclusion in the Return to the Smash Bros. Series. So let's start off with the pros on why it would have made sense for Roy to come back to the Smash Brothers series. The first reason, just like Mewtwo, pro number one is the fact that Roy is requested a lot, and I mean a lot, just as much as Mewtwo. Like, Roy is always like, oh, I want Roy back in the game. I liked Roy in Melee. He was such an awesome character. Why isn't he back in the game? Why can't we have Marth and Roy again? Blah, blah, blah. Everywhere you go, basically with Smash Bros., someone is going to say they want Roy. Someone is going to like Roy. And the fact that he gets requested a lot could have been a reason for why, oh, look, people like this character. We shouldn't have cut him in Brawl. Let's bring him back in Smash Bros. 4. So, yeah, number one, simple as that, is basically, oh, look, Roy's requested a lot. So, it's simple as that. I'm not going to go into too much detail on that because I said the whole thing about Mewtwo and I talked about the pro on why Mewtwo's requested a lot. So, it's basically the same stuff I said in that video to the situation here about Roy. The pro number two is the fact that Roy was included as DLC in Fire Emblem Awakening on 3DS, so they basically, okay, we're bringing this character back, he's popular, he's going to be a DLC character you can get and you can put in the game, you can play as him, you can use him, you can level him up and everything. So he has some sort of relevancy, some sort of, hey, look, this character's not back from his old game now, and old. He's now has some sort of relevancy with recent Fire Emblem as DLC to the point where, hey, look, maybe we can consider him. He has a cool new design. He might have some new moves. We can do something different with him. And that's I think a pretty possible reason for why would have made sense to come back into the to put him back in the Smash Brothers series. And that's it for the pros, people. Just two. He's requested a lot, and he's DLC in Awakening. Now we're on to the con side. One, even though he's DLC, he's still not all that relevant. DLC is not all that relevant, people. Relevant would be, hey, look, Roy's game got remade. Hey, look, Roy's game got a sequel. Him being in an actual game. He hasn't had an actual game since his game back in like what, 2002 on the Game Boy Advance. He's not relevant anymore. He has no relevancy in any of the new games. He wasn't in any game besides himself, his own game, besides being DLC. And I don't really think DLC is all that relevant because guess what? A ton of characters were DLC in Fire Emblem Awakening. Makai was DLC, Leaf was DLC, Sigurd was DLC, Ericon, Ephraim were DLC. A lot of characters were DLC. Are we gonna start throwing them all in the game? Hey, look, let's throw in Leaf. Let's throw in Sigurd because they were DLC. That doesn't make much sense. Usually, the characters that are included in the roster have some sort of relevancy recently in the series, and none of these characters, besides being DLC, really have all that much recent relevancy. Besides the fact that Shin Megami Tensei Crossfire Emblem game coming out whenever, but at this current time we have no idea, and that's also just a crossover, and I don't think that has any say in Smash Bros. To begin with. Like, so number one, he's not really all that relevant anymore in terms of the Fire Emblem series. He has some relevancy, but characters like Marth, Ike, even Micaiah, Lucina, Chrom, Robin, all these people, Soth, all these characters have a little more relevancy in recent Fire Emblem status and the recency of the series than